Ever gone through one of those breakups where you just needed to vent?
Mhm.
Like you just needed a judgment-free zone
Yeah.
where you could process every single feeling.
Yeah.
Yet tons of people turn to journaling to work through it.
Right.
And turns out there's actually something to that whole journaling after a breakup thing.
Okay.
We're taking a deep dive into 50 journal prompts for those going through a breakup by LaStallion.
Okay.
They're known for having really practical self-improvement tips.
Yeah.
And these prompts are seriously designed to help you move on in a healthy way.
Interesting. What I find fascinating is how helpful journaling can be when you're going through a breakup.
Right.
And it's not even just venting,
Mm-hmm.
though that is part of it.
Yeah.
It's more about having that space where you can be completely honest with yourself without worrying what anyone else thinks.
Right, because when you go through a breakup, you're dealing with like a million emotions at once.
You really are.
It's almost impossible to even process how you're feeling, let alone actually talk about it to someone.
It's so true. And that's why one of the first prompts in this list is so important. It's super simple, but it asks, what emotions are you feeling right now?
Hmm.
And that's key because you have to acknowledge those feelings right up front.
Yeah.
That's how you start to actually move through them.
It's like when you actually name those feelings,
Yeah.
they have less power over you.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, sadness, I see that you're there, but I'm not going to let you take over.
Yeah. Exactly. You got this. And once you're able to acknowledge those feelings, that's where you can start to dig a little deeper. And there's this other prompt that really stood out to me. It's the one about writing a letter to your ex that you never actually send.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That sounds really cathartic.
Yep.
Is it actually as therapeutic as it sounds?
It can be incredibly powerful. You're not actually sending it to them.
Yeah.
So you're completely free to express any thought, literally every feeling,
Yeah.
without holding anything back.
Right.
It's like a release valve.
So it's not about rehashing old arguments or anything like that.
No, not at all.
It's more about giving yourself permission to say what you need to say.
Yes. It's about you taking control and finding closure on your own terms,
Yeah.
which is so important if you want to move on.
You know, it's interesting how much we focus on the pain of breakups,
Right.
but they also give you this incredible chance to grow as a person.
Totally. It's like they always say, when one door closes, another opens. Breakups can really force you to grow.
Totally.
Yeah.
And speaking of self-discovery, I noticed that some of the prompts in this list are all about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like there's one that asks, what did you learn about yourself from this relationship?
That's a good one.
Right.
It really makes you think about things.
Yeah.
You have to look back at what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
But you do it by looking at yourself
Uh-huh.
instead of blaming the other person.
It's like instead of being like, well, this is all your fault,
Exactly.
you're saying, okay, what can I learn from this?
Exactly. You're not
Yeah.
pointing fingers. You're just taking responsibility for your part.
It's almost like holding up a mirror to yourself.
It is.
And sometimes what you see can be kind of a wake-up call.
It can be, but that's also what makes it so valuable.
Mm-hmm.
The more you understand yourself,
Yeah.
the better you'll be at having healthy relationships in the future.
Oh, for sure. So this next prompt seems like the natural next step after all that self-reflection. It asks, what are the positive aspects of being single again?
I like that one a lot.
Right.
Yeah, because it's all about changing how you look at the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So many people just dwell on the fact that the relationship is over.
Right. Like being single is just a waiting game until you find someone new.
Yeah, exactly. But this prompt reminds you that being single has its own perks.
You free?
It gives you the chance to reconnect with yourself, to figure out what you really want.
Hmm.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Spend time with whoever you want.
You can focus on your hobbies.
Exactly.
You know, when I went through my last big breakup, I decided to teach myself how to cook these super elaborate meals.
Oh, wow.
It was actually really therapeutic.
That's awesome.
And it turns out I'm not bad at it either.
Good for you. That's a perfect example, though.
Yeah.
You took advantage of the fact that you had this free time
Right.
and you discovered a new passion.
Yeah.
And who knows, you might not have done that if you were still caught up in that relationship.
It's true.
It's so easy to get caught up in other people's stuff and forget about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And this list doesn't let you forget about the importance of self-care.
It doesn't.
No, there are actually prompts that are specifically about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like one asks, what are some activities that make you feel better? And another one asks, how are you taking care of your mental health during this time?
It's like a little reminder to be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
Which, let's be real, can be hard after a breakup.
It's so easy to forget about yourself.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But those prompts are there to tell you, hey, you deserve to be happy.
Exactly. So we've talked about how to process those really raw emotions after a breakup
Yeah.
and how journaling can help you figure out what you learned about yourself from the relationship.
Right.
But how do you actually move forward?
Hmm.
Like, how do these prompts help you build a better future for yourself?
That's my favorite part. It's where the real magic happens.
Yeah.
Instead of dwelling on the past,
Right.
you start focusing on what's possible.
Yeah, totally. There are a couple of prompts in this list that I thought were really interesting for that.
Okay, like what?
Like, there's one that asks, how do you envision yourself a year from now?
Hmm.
It's like setting an intention for your future self.
It is. And when you actually write it down,
Yeah,
make it real,
totally.
it's powerful stuff.
It's like you're creating this roadmap for yourself.
Yeah.
And even if things don't go exactly according to plan, at least you have some sense of direction.
And speaking of direction, there's another prompt that goes right along with that one. It asks, what qualities do you now seek in a future partner?
Ooh, that's a good one because you're taking everything you learned from your last relationship
Hmm.
and using it to make better choices next time.
It's about knowing what you deserve
Right.
and not settling for anything less.
Yeah, it's like you're coming up with your list of non-negotiables.
Yes.
Not in a demanding way,
No.
but in a way that's like, this is what I need to be happy.
And that kind of self-awareness is so important,
Totally.
not even just in romantic relationship.
Right, in life in general.
For sure.
It's funny, as we're wrapping up this deep dive, I'm realizing that these journal prompts are really hopeful. Like, they all have this message of resilience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, this breakup might feel like the end of the world,
Right.
but it's not. You've got this.
It's about using what happened to you to grow and heal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just journaling your way through a breakup.
Right.
You're journaling your way into a better version of yourself.
That's a great way to put it.
So if you're going through a breakup right now and feeling lost,
Mm-hmm.
just remember,
What's that?
you are not alone. And sometimes all you need is a pen and a notebook to help you figure things out.
It's true. And if you're listening to this thinking back on a past relationship, try asking yourself this. What one piece of advice would you give your past self before getting into that relationship?
Hmm.
It might help you understand yourself a little bit better.
That's such a good question.
And maybe it'll give you some clarity about what you're really looking for in a partner.
Such good advice. I think that's a wrap for this deep dive.
I think so.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, this was fun.